Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So we're ready for our last challenge when it comes to working with blues. So I want you to get your phone or go to your computer, and I want you to go to Unsplash. Go to the unsplash.com website on your computer or load up your Unsplash app on your phone, which is a free app. And I want you to do a search for seascapes or seascape. And I want you to pick a picture that you really like. I already know which one I want because I wanted to really expand as much as I could do. Where is it? It's a hard one. So I was contemplating this one here because typically we do seascape, we do pretty blue colors. And I wanted something a little bit more depth. That one was pretty good because you could take that and you could take all the charts that you've done before and you can see the colors, the close colors, with skies and all that stuff, with all the charts that you've done. The one that I was interested in was this one here. That one there. And again, with this one here, you go through, nothing's changed. You go through with asking yourself the questions. What color do you see? Is it lighter or darker, brighter or duller? And where does it sit on the color wheel? That's where you look at it. Now, when I first started, I chose this picture, and yes, I did choose it ahead of time for a reason. I automatically went, well, yeah, I'm going to use definitely some phthalo blue in there with some orange to create the dull blue. And I'm thinking, yeah, but if we can even cut that down even more, we can eliminate phthalo blue, and really all you would need to do this would be alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, peridot orange, henty yellow medium, and white. We can further cut it down by just getting rid of that and using kind of primary colors. This is still a red, a blue, and a yellow. That's getting pretty advanced, and we are going to do some of that stuff later on. But let's stick with, pick your painting. I even pick this one and work with what you have. So I put out the colors here, and we're going to do it the same as the other challenge. We're going to show our work. You don't need to create your painting, but we're going to show our work on how we match those colors. And well, let me just put my brush here. So the reason why I picked this one, whoopsie, is because we have two completely different blues. We've got a blue here in the water that's kind of a dull blue, but in the sky, it's a really bright blue. And I know that when I went through, when I studied, using the Jerry Yarnell, is when I was getting just learning fine art, the Jerry Yarnell system, and where I got my certification with the Bill Alexander system, and then mentored under Buck Paulson and all that, and just with the typical generic sky water combination. You start dark, you work light, but basically the water is a mirror image of the sky. That's the easy way. So if you were thinking ultramarine blue, you go ultramarine blue down with a little bit more white, and then you have your line, then a little bit more white, and then ultramarine blue. So it's almost like, picture like a mirror of the sky and water. That's not true. Per se it is, but this picture obviously proves that it's not, because this is a really dull blue, and this is blue that leans a little bit more towards a dullish blue-green gray, where this is a blue that leans towards violet, and then there's some pink in the sky. So how we're going to try that, and that's how we're going to try, is we're going to start off with the water, and to get that blue, I automatically, when I look at a dull blue like this, I think of phthalo blue and peridot orange. That's automatically, I think of that dull blue. And this is where now, did I bring it out? No. You need to know your color wheel and have all the charts that you already made up to help you as well. So I need to know my color wheel. So I know that this water here is not a blue that's really bright, or on my display leans towards violet in a heavy way. I'm thinking it's more, I can see a little bit of green right in here. So automatically I go phthalo blue. So if I take phthalo blue here, I automatically know that red orange is opposite on the color wheel. Well, I already know that when I took phthalo blue and naphthol red light, I got this here. And if I look at this, it is pretty close. Right here. That's the color that's right here. But right over here, it's this one here. And I didn't put naphthol red light on the I didn't put naphtha red light here. That goes there. 2 blues, 2 reds, and everything I didn't do is 2 yellows. So I'm looking here. So phthalo blue, naphtha red light, and then here phthalo blue, peridot orange. And then as we go up, 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 it becomes a little bit more on the violet side. Right about here, so it's getting more violet. Here, there might be rocks underneath or something, but as we go up, it gets more towards violet. So what I would do then is I would turn around and I would hit it with ultramarine blue and maybe Handsy yellow medium as we go up, and maybe even throw in a little bit of alizarin crimson as we go up here, just a speck. And then as we get into the sky, you're going really much into ultramarine blue, probably by itself up here, maybe a speck of orange to dull it down in the corners. Then as you go down, you're adding more white, more white, more white. And here, really what it is alizarin, probably alizarin crimson with a bit of ultramarine blue and white right in here. So that's why you really need to learn your colors. I can see right here, this part here is more of a blue-green, and here it's more blue-violet, although it's all in water. But up here, it's all blue-violet. Okay, so let's turn around, and let's put you over there. I'm not going to pull out Handsy yellow light because I don't know if I'm going to need it. But let's turn around and say, not naphtha red, you silly woman, naphtha red light. I really didn't, and I didn't even put the colors out in the right order. Oh my God. Really? Do as I say, not as I do. So let's go with the color, let's go with this color right down here. So, yeah, I'm thinking this is really dull and it's more on the green side. So let's try phthalo blue. And I'm going to take some orange to dull it down. But it's going to take, I'm going to get started somewhere, and I forgot to put white. You know what it is? This All About Blue is a series of 6 videos, which I had to film all on the same day because today is election day in Canada, and I have to go and vote. I have to go vote. All right, so let's take that. Oh, there we go. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. So we've got our neutralized blue right here. I'm liking that. I'm liking that right there. Now, remember, this is going to dry darker, and I don't take any responsibility if you're going to paint, oopsie, on your phone. Print out the picture, and then put it inside a sheet protector. But remember, digital is different, and when you print it, it's going to look even more different. But color match with whatever you have in front of you, whether it's a print or your computer. So let's put this right here. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so that's right there. So as I move over here, as you go up, it's going to be more on the violet. But right here, I see it not quite as dull. It's just a little bit duller, but not quite as dull. So could I just, no, if I want to brighten this up, I'm going to go to the color next to it on the color wheel. Well, if I took phthalo blue and peridot orange, which was complements, all I got to do is think of where this sits on a color wheel and go to another color. Well, it's a blue. The only way this blue can go is either towards violet or towards yellow or green. That's really the only way. But it's going to be really bright. This is still dull. So I'm thinking if I used orange as a mixing color, what could I could try to go to a little bit of naphtha red light. Let me see what happens when I use that. If I use a little bit of naphtha red light, can I get this to be a little bit more on the violet side without it going way overboard? Just a little bit. I could probably push it just a little bit more. Let me get a bit more white in there. Yeah, actually, this is pretty good. The naphtha red light was just enough to add a bit more red to it. There. A little bit too much white. There we go. Right there. Right in here. Right there. There we go. Right there. That's actually pretty good. I think I hear Joe coming up the stairs. Don't tell him I did this. Okay. So that takes care of that. And as we work up, we get more towards the violet. So we can turn around and say, well, can we use the existing mixture and then just go with more alizarin crimson? Could we do that? Will that work? Or do we need to go with ultramarine blue? Try it. Try it. So I'm going to work with this here. I'm going to go with a little bit of alizarin crimson. And make notes if you can. That's too dark. I'm asking myself those questions. Remember, is it lighter, darker, brighter, duller? Does it lean more one way or another on the color wheel? We already know it's blue. No, I think it needs a bit more violet. So bring in a little bit more violet in there. And it may be that the phthalo blue is just the wrong blue, and that's actually what I'm thinking. But I want to see what happens. Ooh. No, I think it may be okay. I think it may be okay right in there. It's going to dry darker, don't forget. Not quite dark enough though, so I can turn. You know what? Instead of let's add a bit of ultramarine blue. This is what color mixing is all about, is experimenting. Here we go. Right in there. Yep. Yep. So I just had to, the crimson was a bit too red, so I just had to neutralize it a bit. Not so much neutralize it, but I just added a bit of ultramarine blue. So I've got my dark here. So I've got this here, this in here, and then this one here, right here. And as we go forward, further back, we're going to get lighter. So if we get lighter, we're going to add more white to that. That was my stomach growling. Whoops, too light. That's going to be in between. But we need to go to a little bit more ultramarine blue. Because as we go back, it's becoming a bit more violet. Still a little bit too light. This is actually pretty good. Yeah, there we go, right there. I think up here we could probably go with a bit more crimson because there's a bit more crimson in the sky. Down here, I think it's actually pretty good by itself. I think here we need to go to a little bit more crimson. So that's fine on that side, but take a bit more crimson. Not that much. Oh, crap. So now I have to basically replicate a little bit of phthalo blue and a lot more ultramarine blue. But you see, I'm still working in the same pile of paint. Okay, so now I have to add more white to that. Working with the same paints. Right up there, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good right up there. Okay. So, thinking the backdrop, and I think that might be still a little bit dark. There we go. Right up there. Let's take a little bit more crimson. I'm going to go right over here. Right there. There we are. I'm liking that. So right up there. And as we work down, we get to the darker the darker blues. It's going to be the other way around though. This is the sky, this is the top, and this is the bottom. So as you work darker, so this is the top left corner here, and as we come down here, you're going this way. So that's, and then you're just going to create a painting if you want out of that. But then in the sky, I mean, we already did a sky challenge, but the sky is primarily more just ultramarine blue. And the typical go-to, like I said, when earlier on, is just basically ultramarine blue and white. That's a typical go-to for a sky. I mean, that, to me, that's too violet. I'm going to tap a bit of ultramarine blue in there. There we are. That's closer to what I'm looking for. Right there. So then you just adjust. Think of where you're putting that. See, that's close right here. Right in there. So, and this part here is a little bit darker. Right in there. And as we get up on top, I'm going to take a little bit more phthalo blue, a little bit more ultramarine blue. It's a little bit darker. And you know what? I think it's a little too bright. I can hit that with a little bit of Hansa yellow and Naphthol red to make it orange. And then, ugh, that's gross. Pop that in there. See, with Naphthol red light and Hansa yellow, you got to be so careful. I think honestly it would just be easier. There we go. Just to work with orange. That works right there. So there you are. So that's the exercise you're going to work with. Oh, now it goes to full screen. That's the exercise you're going to work with. You're going to go to Unsplash. You're going to pick a water. And you're going to do the color matching to different areas. That's going to be your homework. Now, one thing I know, there's some of you out there saying, yeah, but even when you did the matching, it wasn't a perfect match. You will never get a perfect match. Remember, this is a photograph of something in real life. You can't replicate life in paint. It doesn't work that way. This is natural. This is man-made. So what you're doing is you're getting something close. Okay? So the key thing when you're matching to a photograph, you ask yourself the questions. What color is it? It's blue. Is it a light blue or a dark blue? That's one. And then pick an area. So if I'm working on this, this is a dark blue. Is it bright or is it dull? That's dull. Where does it sit on the color wheel? Well, if it's blue, it can only go one way, towards violet and red or green, yellow. I'm looking here. This goes towards green, yellow. So you ask yourself those questions, make up a mix, test it. Ask yourself the questions again, except the blue, but ask yourself the questions again. Lighter, darker, brighter, duller. Where does it sit in the color wheel? You keep asking yourself those same questions, and you will, eventually come up to a mix that is pretty close. Now, there are some mixes where it takes me 4 or 5 times to get it, where it's portraits, people portraits. Pet portraits, it's maybe two or 3 times. Landscapes, so that's where you have the most freedom. That's why I chose, the seascapes to do that. You can be a lot more flexible with that. Don't beat yourself up trying to match it. You're not going to match it. Get something close. What I want to see is I want to see the work. I want to see this. Okay? So, depending on where you're watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to click the links below to go to the community or to Facebook. And what I want to see in there is I want to see a link to the photo. So you're going to post a link to the photo. You're going to create a post or reply to the post where I show the challenge. And you're going to post a link to the photo so we can see what photo you're working from. You're going to post a picture of your work. And then you can do a little semi-abstract of the piece if you want. So this is what I want to see right here. Alrighty. So in saying that, this concludes working with the color blues. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I look forward to seeing all your assignments that you've done over these 6 video lessons. So the next series the next set we're going to be working on is violet, and that one's going to be a little bit shorter because violet, we're limited on what we can create with violet unless you use tube violet. but it'll still be a fun session to work with. All right, so thank you for joining me, and until I see you in the next video, stay inspired.